Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking. Tutorial number 20, headaches. Headaches are an extremely common presentation for any acupuncturist, I would imagine. Certainly within my clinics, people frequently come complaining of headaches. But I'm inclined to divide headaches in two: headaches due to deficiency and headaches due to excess. It's very rare to find somebody coming to me purely with headaches due to deficiency, because very often it's not of a sufficient threshold to take somebody into therapy, whereas headaches of excess, particularly repeated headaches of excess, are something that often require investigation. Very often people have been through the Western medical mill before they come to acupuncture, and they're probably reassured that there's nothing particularly wrong on CAT scans or whatever, or brain scans, to find a reason or a sinister reason for headaches. But nonetheless, the headaches continue, so therefore treatment must be approached from a different perspective. That perspective very often is an acupuncture one. I'm inclined to divide headaches of excess into three types of headaches. There's the headaches associated with yang rising, there's the headaches associated with phlegm, and there's the deep intractable headaches that are deep within the skull. Let's talk about headaches due to yang rising. The vast majority of these headaches arise in the gallbladder channel, and the reason why they arise in the gallbladder channel is because they're associated with the liver being stagnant, and the stagnant liver chi spills over into its major transport line, which of course is the gallbladder channel, and it rises up and it presents in the classic migraine type headache in the hemisphere of the skull, or between gallbladder number 1 and gallbladder number 2. That's between the edge of the eye and where the lobe of the ear meets the face. These areas, because of course the yang rises up in a pulsating way, the headache's inclined to throb or pulse, and that's one of the characteristics. There's probably very few people looking at this video that haven't experienced something like that at some stage or other in their lives. And these are acupuncture or yang rising up in these particular channels in the gallbladder channel, but very often that extra energy can spill over into the other greater yang channels, such as the stomach channel, and manifest on the distribution of the stomach channel, which kind of is to the front of the face. Remember, there's a double line running down from stomach number 8 off the corner of the forehead, and stomach number 1 off just below the center of the pupil, and they unite down in stomach number 5, which is just off the angle of the jaw. So the whole front of the face is stomach territory, and behind that there is the gallbladder, and of course the gallbladder is also on the forehead as well. Gallbladder 13, gallbladder 14, one swung above the middle of the eyebrow, and gallbladder 15. Then it goes over the skull to gallbladder 20, which is the dimple at the back of the skull. So that whole area is an area affected by headache an awful lot, and it tends to be liver yang rising. It tends to be on the gallbladder channel for the most part, sometimes spilling into the stomach channel, and occasionally into the urinary bladder channel as well, that comes up the back, and it tends to be due to yang rising. So the treatment is to drag it all down. You pull it down in urinary bladder 43. If it spills into the stomach channel, use stomach 44. If it spills into the urinary bladder channel, of course use urinary bladder 66. But the whole concept is in pulling it down using spring points, rather than trying to expel it directly from the head, because to do so attracts up more yang, and when the liver's overactive, there's absolutely no end to the amount of liver energy wanting to come up. So the best solution is to drag it all down, get rid of it down. It's often accompanied by other things as well, like tinnitus, a tight jaw, grinding your teeth in bed at night, temporomandibular joint pain, so on and so forth. All signs of liver in excess rising up. So that's that type of headache. Then there's the phlegm headache, and it's completely different. The phlegm headache is a sense of oppression across your forehead, right side and left side equally represented, that tends to come on as evening progresses, simply because it tends to be a heavy sort of a heaviness in the head. People often don't use the word headache to describe it. They may speak about an oppression, they may speak about a tightness, a band of iron around our forehead, and these are various words people might use to try to describe what they experience, and it comes on as evening progresses. And a very effective point to get rid of that, of course, is stomach 8, which is squared off the hairline, off the forehead, both right side and left side. And it's a headache that can be there next morning, simply because it was there the night before, and the residue of it remains in the morning time. But that doesn't mean it's a morning headache. Its characteristic is for it to appear late in the afternoon and progress on onwards as evening progresses. And that's the headache, that's the phlegm-related headache. And to treatment, you must treat phlegm, and phlegm is, of course, stomach 40 and lung 5. But you can't treat phlegm without evidence for phlegm, and the evidence isn't only on history taking of the forehead. You have to look at a person's tongue to find is there any evidence of phlegm. And the more intense the headache is, the hotter the phlegm will be, the more heat will be in the phlegm. And again, that will be reflected on the tongue. Is it a gloss white coating, phlegm coating? Is it a light yellow phlegm coating? Or is it a dark mustard yellow phlegm coating, which demonstrates deep heat, which will represent as a more significant headache towards evening time, perhaps even start just after lunch and progress onwards. So that's the second type of headache, the phlegm type of headache. And the third type of headache is the headache in the center of the head, where the person's unable to say exactly which side it's on. It's deep, it's in there, it's described as a boring deep pain. And that's quite serious, because very often that can correspond to various brain tumours. It's due to pressure within the skull. Something's expanding within the skull. It doesn't have to be a malignant tumour, it could be a pituitary tumour, which can also expand and cause that type of headache as well. But of course it can be a malignant tumour as well. And because the skull, there just isn't space for any set of cells to expand without putting pressure on sensory nerves, causing pain. So this deep, intractable pain in the skull is quite a serious thing. It's difficult to get rid of. Again, you drag it down as best as you can, but you try to get to the root cause of it. And that may very well be moving chi around and dragging chi down. But all in all, it's a particularly challenging type of headache to get rid of. It tends not to throb. It tends to be constant, deep, described as a boring pain is often the word people use, as in drilling a borehole, that type of sort of pain, without being able to distinguish which side it actually is, because it's in the center, it's in the head. There are three types of headache: the common ordinary headache, the rising of yang, usually liver, usually in the gallbladder channel. The phlegm headache towards evening time is something completely different due to spleen, I suppose, deficiency secondary to spleen not transforming fluid, and of course the fluid or damp is morphed over into phlegm, and it rises and settles in the forehead. And of course then thirdly, the deep boring type of pain. Three types of headaches, three different types of challenges. Thank you.